and we're in the studio today. I just brought home some really interesting plants. These are cactus. They're a rickrack or fishbone cactus. Aren't they really cool looking? They look like they belong under the sea. We'll do a video with more details about this plant later on, but my parents' garden center just got these in and I thought it'd be fun to get them here and get them all repotted. But that's not the goal of today's project. Today's project is to address the entire wall behind me, to go through all of my plants, organize all the shelves, clean up stuff, check for bugs, repot if necessary. This has become kind of a landing spot. Like if you look down here, I have just random supplies. I've got fabric. That does not go in the studio, it goes inside, and I don't really know how it ended up out here, but there it is. And then we're gonna work all the way down to the chair. So I'm gonna clean this table as well because I need to get some taller grow lights set up. I have some plants that I want to pot and put under a grow light, but even if these are at their highest point, like this one, it's not quite high enough. So that is my goal for that table, is to bring all of my taller house plants over there to where they can get the light that they need. I do have 4 of the shelves done. This is what has motivated me to do this project today, because I did this last night and it felt so good and they look so nice after you're done that, yeah, it just made me want to do the whole thing. So this shelf, this one, and this one are all done. Don't they look nice? And I'm hoping the rest of them have the same look when we're all done. I don't think we'll be able to fill all of them up, but anyway, if you don't like to watch organizing and cleaning, you can skip to this point in the video. But I like a good cleaning video. It makes me feel inspired to do it in my own home. So let's get after it. feeling pretty good about it because it's finally just like clean and organized, and it hasn't been that way, I don't think, ever. Maybe when the studio was just initially done and all we had were grow lights in here, it was pretty clean, but it felt fairly sterile. And once we get down to this area, it's looking a little bit more homey and cozy, which is what I wanted. I wanted room for practical things. I wanted room for things like this. And it's kind of hard to actually get backed up shots in here for this tour because like this is where we do a lot of our projects where we have top-down shots. And it's nice to be able to set like a camera up and all of this stuff up and just leave it because it's a complete pain to get everything centered. So that's just part of what the studio is actually for. So anyway, let's go light by light and shelf by shelf. I will not remember all the names of these plants. So like, you know, jump in the comment section if you remember some of the names. I've had some of these plants for a really long time. And like, as I was handling them, I thought like, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I know what this plant is, but I can't remember what it is. Also, these are the Sunlight 3-tier gardens from Gardens, is that right? Sunlight 3-tier gardens from Gardener's Supply. And they have the LED lights in them. I really like these light fixtures. You can see we have 3 of them and they have served us well. So that's what we've got going here. They run for between 14 and 16 hours a day at the moment. So they come on in the morning, they're on timers, and then they turn off in the evening. It's quite nice. So top level right here. We've got the rickrack cactus that I already showed you in the beginning. So we will be potting those later this week. We've got a fairly nice looking string of dolphins. So this one has been through a little bit of trials. I had it outside and I put it in too sunny of a spot and it kind of started to burn and then it got neglected. It got aphids for a little bit and it's coming back and looking pretty good. Now I could spend all kinds of time popping off all these little dead leaves, which maybe that'll be a good project for a day when I want to pop a movie on when it's snowing outside, and I'll just have this plant sitting in front of me and I'll clean it up. But it does look pretty healthy. We have a celosia. This is the one that Benjamin potted up. We put it in the front sun porch, but it's too cold out now. So we've moved it back in here. It's looking pretty good. It's just an experiment having it in here. This is an aloe that I've had for ages. It's Aloe aculeata. I've got a tag in there. Anyway, it's got really beautiful color right now. I don't know if that means it's stressed. It's usually kind of more of a blue color, but it's pretty. It looks kind of wicked. We've got a cactus right back there that I couldn't even dream of telling you the name of that one because I've had that one probably a few years before we even moved into this house. And it's been living in that same pot this whole time for probably 8+ years. String of bananas right here. Same story as string of dolphins. This one's got a little bit I can groom off, but it's largely a healthy, good looking plant. Next row down, or next shelf down, we've got our seedling trays. You can see all of our tomatoes are up. So the back row is Evil Olive. Then we have Campari, Good Hearted. These are the baby bell peppers. I've already thinned these. The lemon drop hot peppers, I only had 2 come up out of 4 so far. I mean, you never know. And this one surprised me, but I have the green fingers cucumbers. I thought that those would just beat all of these. 2 seeds came up in this cell. No other cells did I have any come up. So I took that one out of here and put it here. It's like maybe shocking a little bit, and hopefully it comes back out of it. We'll see what happens. This is a tray full of dill that I'm experimenting with, microgreen style. You can see it's starting to form its dill-like leaves there. It's really fun. It's just fun to have something to do this to this time of year. I love it. Next tray over is Genovese basil, or sweet Italian, or Genovese. I think that's the same thing. Basil. I also am growing this kind of microgreen style. And then I did take the Tradescantia plants that I rooted. I'm using those on the table. I'll show them to you in a minute. But I've got the pansy that Benjamin potted up, and he did like a little fairy garden thing. He had other pieces in here, but I just found those in the house. So he must have pulled them out at some point and he took them back in there. Lowest shelf here, we have 3 African violets that don't look great. They're okay. They were overwatered. So they've got to sit here. I mean, look at that. There's water on the tray right below them, and I didn't touch them with water. So they need to dry out. They should be all right. Right here, see, this is the one. Is this like a airplane plant? Is that what it's called? It's really cool looking. And I've had this one and that one since our old house. And they used to fit in the pot really well. This one's kind of pushed this one out just a little bit. Same story with this cactus garden here. Had it for ages. It's just like a nice little cactus garden. I don't know. I haven't had to do much with it. And then we've got an agave right there that I've also had for 8+ years. Okay, next grow light. Let's start on the top row here. We've got a Shady Ladies. goldfish plant. Look at the underside of the leaf. Isn't that interesting? This came in at the garden center, a few months back. I picked it up, haven't potted it yet clearly, but it's happy under the grow light. Right behind it, we've got just a little trio of cacti. Beautiful begonia that my mom and I picked up when we were at a garden center in Boise. It was all white when I picked it up, and it's since like kind of blushed up a little bit. It's really pretty. Then I've got just an assortment. It would take us ages if I did name by name anyway, I guess. So maybe we'll just take a quick look over each one of these shelves. I've got an assortment of echeverias. This is a graptopetalum right there. We've got an aloe in the back. These are sedum pork and beans right there. Haworthia. I think that one, I don't remember what variety it is, but isn't that awesome? Look at the color on that. It always looks like that. And then we've got a mangave, which also is overwatered, and so is this one. So we're letting these dry out. In fact, I pulled that one completely out of its pot, and I'm just letting it sit here. But I've had this, I don't know if it's an echeveria. I think it might be. Anyway, I've had it for a long, long time. And then we've got an arrowhead plant here. And then there's a fern here. This is a fluffy ruffle fern. And you can see just a few little cacti and echeveria there. Row down, we have got, these are pachyphytums right here. And these you want to be careful not to touch. I'll touch one of the lower leaves to show you what happens, because I'll probably pop that one off anyway. But see that? When you touch them, it removes the powdery substance that's on their leaves, and it just damages the way they look. You can see like this one right here was touched on the backside. And ideally, you want them to look like this, like perfection. There are some panda plants here. Is there a name on this one? Yeah, kiwi, aeonium. I think this is their active growing time right now, but they look really good, coloring up beautifully. This is a crassula, princess pine, and then just some randomness right here. I like this one a lot. That's a crassula ivory towers. Isn't that so pretty? I love the growth structure of those. Down here on the bottom level, we've got some that are struggling a bit, like the African violets. I don't know if I already showed you these, but same story. These had too much water. They also weren't getting enough light. So I think they will rebound and start being happier. In fact, I might even cut this and reroot it because it's formed quite the trunk there. We've got a Birkin philodendron. Now I had several plants up in our front sun porch, and I didn't get them back into the studio, into the warm temperatures soon enough. So this one suffered quite a bit of cold damage. I had to take out a bunch of leaves. I think what's left here, I think it's gonna be okay. And I really wish I would have got to it sooner. I just didn't. And this one I just rerooted today. So I cut some of the branches off and just popped them right back down in the soil. I left a rooted piece in there, one that's already rooted in right there. And then these around the outside are new ones. So we'll just keep it moist for a little bit and they should root pretty quick. We've got a nice Rex begonia. This was left up in way too cold of temperatures too, along with the philodendron, and it's actually looking pretty good. It was sad for a minute and it bounced really quick. Right here are the seeds that Benjamin and I just started, spruce and peppermint. I don't think that we don't have any action on them yet. We're keeping them moist. Next grow light. All right, so a lot of these I've had for a long, long time. There's some aloes here that were all actually one great big plant, and we did a video. I think we did that out in the greenhouse maybe 2-3 years ago. We'd have to look it up. And I separated them all and rerooted them, and they all look so great. We've got some cactus, echeverias, haworthias. This is an aloe called Blue Elf. There's 3 of them. Again, those 3 were together in one, and I separated them and rerooted. And we have a pilea that needs a little bit of attention in terms of rooting. I think it's also known as a money plant, but I've got some little babies at the bottom there that we could reroot and then do something with this big tall stem. Next shelf down, we just picked up yesterday this huge tray of gorgeous succulents because I want to put some really fresh arrangements together for gifts, and I just thought they were all so pretty. I love seeing these fresh little babies with the really beautiful color. I also went through the stash I already had and I cut a bunch of these. So these are just sitting out to dry, the wound that I made. So all of these are cuttings right up here. I also pulled some of, like this is an astrophytum right here. I pulled that out of an arrangement because it was too wet. Same with this cactus right here. Let those dry out a little bit. And then I had another cactus that had formed a bunch of babies on the top. So I cut those off, we'll dry those and reroot those. This is an Appletini sempervivum right there. These are actually hardy enough to live outside in our area, zone 6. Beautiful coloring on the tips. And then we've got a Haworthia here. We've got a Moon Valley Friendship plant is what this is called. This is also a Pilea. It's got that waffly texture, kind of cool. We've got another agave here and here, and then more cuttings. These are all cuttings right here that we will handle later on, probably in a day or two. And then the very last shelf down here, I'm attempting to do something with these little things that came off my donkey things, they're leaves, that came off of the donkey tail sedum. I won't water or mist these yet. I'll let the little ends dry, and then we'll see. We'll see if they start to take root, and we might have a bowl full of beautiful sedum. We'll see what happens. I got an old Nan cactus right here I've had forever. We've got an amaryllis that's starting to push some growth finally. As soon as it puts on a little bit more, I'll probably take it inside. And then we've got, this is a philodendron, right? Like, is it Congo or something like that? Or I can't remember the name of that one. And then this area right here looks so much better. I'm gonna fuss with it a little bit. I need to put more light out because like this one little bulb is not gonna do it for all these plants. In fact, I thought about, I've got a ballast with 3 bulbs. I thought I could hang it from the ceiling there and let that light shine down. That might be a little bit better for these. But I think it looks so much better over here. This is kind of what I envisioned for at least the space where the chairs are. I put the passion fruit vine right here. But I wanted this to feel more cozy and homey so that we had a space. It's kind of a nice, almost office space. Aaron and I come out here if we need to do work and we need it quiet. So it's just a really nice area to have. And I just put some plants around that I had actually on the other side of the studio. There's a Pegasus begonia. These are the ones we took out of the kitchen window box and potted this fall. Put them up in the front sun porch. They went through that cold too, and they kind of, I had to groom a bunch off of them, but I think we're gonna be okay. It's looking pretty good. We've got a pink guava, which we brought in here and it immediately defoliated, but there's a new growth. There are buds. Look at this right here. You see that? There are buds all up and down each one of these stems, so I'm very hopeful that this plant makes a full recovery. We've got 2 philodendron monstera minimums. There's this one here and this one right up here. Those were just growing out of the bottom of their pots. There were great big roots coming out of the drain holes, so I thought I would get those potted up. Rerooted the donkey's tail sedum, that's where all the little leaves came down there in the pot in our David statue here. So I cut all of the pieces today. I'll let them dry for probably 4 or 5 days and then I will water it. So all the stems are down in fresh new soil and it's been a long time. So I had this in the old house too. I kind of like base everything off of when we moved. I've probably had that donkey's tail in there for 6 or 7 years, I'm guessing. So it was time for a refresh. And all the extra stems I saved, even though I cut the nice ends off, and I can reroot those too, and they'll create new fresh stems. These are the Tradescantia that we rooted recently. They've already rooted in. They're already kind of taking off a little bit, looking absolutely beautiful. I used one of the lemon cypress from my little stash of gifts over by the garage door there. Might just leave that one there, it's so pretty. Here's the fairy garden we made, springtime maybe? Was that spring? I don't know. Out of all things from the garden, so little maple helicopters. It's kind of seen a little bit of like it needs, I could spend some time shining this up. I lost the fern that was there, which I totally expected. In fact, I said that in the video, I think. It was, what kind of fern was that? The kind that always die. Do you remember? Maidenhair? Was it a maidenhair fern? It probably was, and I kind of expected it to not live. Anyway, it looks kind of cute right there. This is a fig, the fiddle leaf fig that I have inside. I cut and rooted 3 pieces. One of them did not survive out of the 3, and it got burned really bad. Remember I rooted it in the greenhouse. I left it out there and it burned pretty good, and so I had to pull a bunch of leaves off. It is pushing new growth, though I feel like it's a story of neglect on most of my plants. We just get a lot of stuff going on here in the summer, so inside stuff just suffers. It just does. So we'll have to do a better job of that this next year, maybe paying more attention. But I am hopeful for this one to push even more growth, and it'll be a really sweet tree, I think, in the end. And then we've got this bird nest fern, which I've had for a very long time. It lived on our mantle for a couple of years in a gray pot, the gray pots that I just took down to do our Christmas display. I didn't even have them potted in there. I just had them in their plastic pots inside the gray pots, and they just loved it. It wasn't direct light. They still did really well. So anyway, it's a very low maintenance plant. And then underneath, I just cleaned all this stuff out. I kind of experimented with, oh no, that's fine. I experimented making another little fairy house. It actually has little clear, maybe that was my casualty. It has little clear windows. When you put a little candle in there, it looks like it's glowing from the inside. It's so sweet. But these are all materials from outside as well. Anyway, I have another one of these fairy houses right here that I put together. Butterfly house I'm going to put out next year. I've got my flower press and then a few wreaths right there. Just simple stuff. And then, like I said, my passion fruit vine, which I bought this in anticipation of putting it in the Hartley. So it'll probably end up there at some point. It really needed to get out of its container. I mean, you saw the root system. It was just like forming a new root ball beneath the can. So I think it'll be really happy now that it's potted up in something a little bit bigger where it can grow. So I'm expecting that, well, this is new growth here. Look at how deep green that is. I'm hoping that that kind of takes over and I can get rid of all the kind of lighter yellower growth. So that's it. You can kind of take a look this way. Doesn't that look so much better? I just am really happy with it. And then I'll take care of my mess later. I've got just grow lights and my seed stuff on the other side, which is, they have nothing on them. So there's no plants over there. It's all on this wall for now, which feels good. It feels good to have everything in one space. Everything has been groomed. There are no insects on anything, no disease, nothing. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Something I really needed to get done, and it's kind of fun to share those kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a transformation in a way. So it's fun to share those types of projects. So hope you guys are all having a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.